Good evening, everyone. That sounds so much like Espresso by Sabrina Carpenter. I love that intro. Shout out to Sub Lids.
Who is Sabrina Carpenter?
Yeah, she's a very famous pop star.
There's only one. One family of carpenters. It's Karen Carpenter.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Jesus.
Yeah. He was also a carpenter as well, yeah. But Karen Carpenter is the best carpenter. I don't know the girl you're talking about.
Okay, she's number one. Like, yeah, very famous.
What year was that?
What, Espresso?
Yeah.
This year.
She was number one this year?
Yeah, she was number 1 and 2 this year.
What, at tennis?
No, like in the pop chart.
Woodwork.
Yeah, but lathing. All right. Well, you can see that it's a very serious show.
The way you just.
All right. Right. I'll tell you what we'll do. Just while we wait for a few people to get here,
Can I just say? Sorry to interrupt. But isn't Sabrina the one who done Boys, Boys, Boys? Is this like, is she like a hero, cult hero in Croatia?
Who?
How am I going to answer that?
Do you remember Sabrina? She done Boys, Boys, Boys.
Looking for a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you said, isn't she a cult hero in Croatia?
I don't know. Like, Dora seems to know about her, but Dora's too young.
Dora's not here.
Okay.
She's in the chat.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Oh my God.
Can we start again?
Yeah. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Manchester United Agenda, the 11th of November, 2024. I think we've got an absolute cracker of a show on tonight, but just while we sort of wait for people to turn up and so on, I think we'll just quickly talk about our football this weekend, because I think it was a clean sweep, was it not, Jen?
God. Yeah, but I haven't even heard anything from you. So look, I'm gonna get mine out of the way. We won 4-0 against a team who were unbeaten in the league. They came with their chest. Oh, we've won 6 in a row. We've won 6 in a row. We spanked them 4-0. They didn't stay for any food. They stayed on the pitch, huddled around. Yeah, they lost their appetite. They huddled round in a circle like they were Red Indians around a wigwam for 10 minutes after the game, discussing what went wrong. You lost 4-0. You got dicked. I'm over the moon, man. Come on, I want to hear your guys now.
But how did you beat? I mean, if they're so good, how do you be able to sort of dissect them?
Because we're better. At the end of the day, we're better. I've got a team of monsters, man, and we had 5 players, 5 starters not playing. Man are now stepping up. Man are now appreciating what I've done pre-season, and they understand what's going on now. So yeah, I'm over the moon, man. I'm buzzing.
Mr. B, can I say congratulations? Do you think, because you've been up to St. George's recently, you've been doing a lot of sort of homework and coaching cinemas and all that kind of thing. Does that help you out, do you think?
Nah, had nothing to do with it, mate. It's all bloody me, mate. No, to be fair, St. George's was a good crack, but tactics-wise, that was just a good day out, man. But yeah, my tactics I'm learning from bath time, to be fair. Just little bits, little bits that I hear, and when I kind of try to explain it and it works, and I'm in a very good place at the moment, to be fair. I'm in a good place at the moment.
You're welcome.
Wow.
That's all right, man. It's all right. That's what you're here for, man. Educate the masses. Come on, talk to me, man. What's going on?
I've said so much good stuff today. But how did you get on?
Yeah.
Well, you didn't ask me last week. Last week we lost. We lost 5-3, and as you know, I'm a goalkeeper now. I'm playing in goal. We haven't got a goalkeeper. I'm the goalkeeper. I'm trying to learn the role. And it's the first time I made a proper mistake. We were 3-1 down, 3-0 down early on. Couldn't do anything about the goals. Second half, we came back after team talk, came back into the game, got to 3-2 or 4-3, got to 4-3, and we had momentum. And then I came out for a catch, like a Bruce Grobbler catch from a set piece. And usually I've been punching them. I just don't bother. I just punch. I just clear everything out of the way. This time I thought, I can catch this. Went to catch him. hand and they scored, and that made it 5-3 or something. That deflated us. So that's my first mistake, and I had to be accountable for that. This week in goal, we were 2-0 down again within a few minutes. I should have first goal they scored after a few seconds. Ball, the guy came through. I came out, grabbed the ball. He fouled me, but they let it play on. He slipped out my hands because he fouled me, and they let it play on, and he just tapped the ball into the net, and it should have been a foul. But the referee said it was a foul before that, so he should have given a penalty against us. But it was a foul on me. They're usually quite protective on goalkeepers because I'm big. I think they think, oh, you can take it.
It's bigism again.
Well, there you go. And then we came back brilliantly after going 2-0 down, came back to 3-2. We were dominating the game. 10 minutes into the second half, we were dominating again. And then one of their players twisted his knee, went from there to there.
Oh,
so shit. And this is the thing. I just want to shout out about Sunday League. We don't get paid for doing all this. It was a horrible injury. It wasn't an accident. No one fouled him. He just twisted badly. But honestly, his knee just twisted to the side. It's like facing the other way. And he was lying there. He's got diabetes as well. We called the ambulance, and the ambulance, he's probably still there right now. They're saying like 4 or 5 hours. It's not a priority, So we had to abandon the game, and there was another pitch which had nets on it right next to us, but we refused because it's not. How can you leave the guy there? Couldn't move him, and then go. Again. You right, mate? You right? How you getting on? Yeah. Do you want a tissue for the tears? Because he was crying. He was a 27-year-old boy or man, but he was crying, and I was thinking, oh, it must be so painful. But so the game got abandoned, but I'm really pleased with the way we've been performing. We've been really good. I need some gloves. Yeah, I definitely do. I need some gloves. But I need to learn the role. It's from mistakes you get better in it. And I think now I'm starting to understand it a bit more. I want to improve and be a better goalkeeper. Because I even had the centre-back come up to me before the game and say, give me advice. And I'm thinking, wait, what are you telling me advice about being a goalkeeper? Because I made a mistake. It's only because I made a mistake. He was like undermining me, like giving it. Try and do this. And I'm thinking, hold on a minute. I'm volunteering here, and I made one mistake. I saved 2 penalties out of 4 this season. So yeah. Anyway, I'm getting better, and by the end of the season, I will be the best goalie in the league.
That's good to hear.
Anyway, move on.
Come on, bath time.
We won 4-1. The most notable thing that happened is, do you guys do a minute silence?
We did.
Yeah, we did as well. Someone just let rip the biggest fart you've ever heard during the middle of the silence. And there was quite a lot of giggling, but you'll be pleased, yeah, because I had to play the last 20 minutes at centre-back.
How did that go?
It went very well. They didn't score again because I was just absolutely livid with our team and this bloody obsession they have with playing out from the back when they're not good enough. So we're cruising in the game, and then they mess about at the back. We go we concede a goal, and at that point it's 3-1, and I wasn't having any of this. So I just went and played the centre back, got the ball and booted it up the pitch. I'm not having playing out of the back with the level that these boys are at. Right. But yeah, it was good.
Where are you in the league? Because you seem to be winning every week.
No, we've drawn 3 in a row, and we lost a couple. We lost one before that, so we're about 4th.
Okay.
But it's November now, and you know what happens like November, Christmas, January, like the arse just goes out of the team.
Yeah.
So we're not in a good situation. But I've been injured the last 2 years after Christmas, so hopefully this year I can sort it out by just not letting them play football, not having it. All right, should we see who's here?
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, we got Steph. She's early. We've got I Am Titanium. He's been working on this joke all week. It's the beginning of the rim job. We've got POTUS. Big week for him. I hope you're well. People are starting on about Rude. It's international break, lads. We've got a lot of time to discuss all this stuff. Referees, AI.
I don't think it's disgusting anyway. I don't think it's disgusting. They need to have a clean break. He's part of the old regime. I love Rude.
Yeah.
But you have to be ruthless, though. All of this pally hugging up and, touching knees and all of that shit. No. This is big business. He's done his job. Well done, Rude. You've done us well. Now, it's time to go, man.
Well, I think also, like, when we get into what we're dealing with today, you might have a better understanding of why he's been let go, as it were. We've got Matty Bassett. Matty, let us know how you got on in the football, mate.
He does.
When Amorim goes, he wants Rude back as the interim. And we've got Bart, who liked our intro video, as did We Deserve Better. We've done this one. Sabrina is a generic pop star. God, Dora. And we've got Ajmal. He's hair blood. Oh. Yeah, I shouldn't have said that. Sabrina was a teenage witch too. Very talented. That's Bewitched, Amondo.
Oh,
No, she was a teenage witch.
Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
yeah,
Versus
90s,
Bewitched.
wasn't it? That was 90s, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, Bewitched was the one where she was like a housewife and she sort of twinkled her nose.
Larry
or-
Hagman, yeah, for JR.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a different thing.
That's yeah. Great song. We Deserve Better. Great song.
Yeah, and Sabrina the Teenage Witch was quite popular here as well. We've got the creative genius behind our new intro, Subvid, so thanks for that. Look at this. Let's go, Mr. B. 4-0. What a win.
Outstanding.
We've got Tyrone. How's it going? What's everyone been up to? And look at this. Bar is saying, I think today's intro video was among the best that you've done on this channel. Well done, Subvids. I think everyone agrees with that. You've got Steph calling you Yabba and Nana.
I can go with that. Yeah.
Like, what goes on at Tyrone's games? We drew 5-5.
Yeah, but he plays 4 aside, doesn't he?
Wow. To his sister.
That's good. The
Got
first
3
one.
players with 1 pass, but no look.
Yeah, what is is this 5-side or
I
something?
think it's 7 aside. I think he said it's 7 or 9 aside.
Yeah, it's a funny number. I think it's 9. In it, Tyrone, tell us. I think it's 9.
I think that this is completely wrong, but Mr. POTUS is saying Mr. B is the type of man to bring a whiteboard to the pub, diagramming plays mid-game while everyone else is trying to enjoy their chips.
I tell you what, mate. That's the last thing I'm doing after the game. I mean, yeah, no, that's definitely not me. That's definitely not me.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like you. Kieran's in the house. Rude will get experience and come back. It was the right decision. Bath time trying to rage fixtures on the moon for a better atmosphere, no kangaroos or farmers. I did actually. Well, I told Steph we watched a film at the weekend called The Astronaut Farmer. Absolutely brilliant. Farmer builds a spaceship in his barn, just shoots off to the moon. So, all right, NASA.
So this is a different one from the flying kangaroo one with the Chinese man.
It's a different one.
Oh Lord have mercy.
We got V in the house. We've got Big G in, and we'll finish with one of Big G's very insightful and well thought out comments. Amorim is a knobhead for getting rid of Rude. Hate him already. Wing backs won't work. Another Portuguese sausage.
Wow, Big G, man. Jesus Christ.
And yes, Bart, thank you very much for sending that to me. I did find it quite interesting. All right, so Big G was talking about Portuguese sausages. So the thing is, right, is that what we're going to be looking at today is like is training and something called game models. And I think, like, over the course of the show, you'll begin to sort of recognize things that people have said in interviews, like Ten Hag, and it hopefully will give us a good insight into what Amorim is going to have to do and implement as quickly as possible. And then we can sort of decide between us, like, if we think it's doable or not. So the first thing is, who knows anything about Portuguese sports science?
Not a damn thing.
All right. So, you know, like Italy is where you look for defensive stuff.
Yes.
Spain for possession, East Europe for pressing. With Portugal, you look at their... the University of Porto has a guy called Victor Frade, and he was active in like he did like some work between like 90 and 95, and it is everywhere. And the man who got it everywhere is basically Jose Mourinho. Like, so when Jose came into the Premier League, his training was incredible. And I think it actually led to the appointment of Carlos Queiroz. Like, Portugal is where everything comes out to do with training. And it should be no surprise that Ronaldo, Dalot, Bruno Fernandes, they've all got a mentality about training and how important it is. It's like the cornerstone of Portuguese culture. And it's it's kind of what has like given the gift to the world. Now, earlier on, Mr. B, do you remember when I said, I bet you Bilal comes in and says, pick a five-a-side team of dinosaurs tonight? It was nearly correct. He's gone for wild animals.
You did say that.
Yeah, I did.
Wow.
All right, but so like tonight, I'm going to talk a lot about training and game models and things like that, and I think it's fascinating because I did a version of this training when I was out in Chile, and it's only in the last week since we started research, since I started looking back into this, that I've realised how much it's affected me. Like literally everything I talk about in football comes from the training that I used to do. So should we start with a lovely little presentation?
Yeah.
All right. So this is the first presentation. I've got two, but we'll see how far we go. This is the more interesting one. Okay. So I'm going to start off with types of training. Then we're going to talk about what a game model is and what it does, and then principles and what we're trying to do with it. All right, who's that, Yabba?
Rocky Balboa.
Yeah, what's he doing?
It was Peppa Pig.
Some meat. He's he's hitting his meat.
I thought you might. I nearly went for Ivan Drago because he sums it up better, but I thought you'd make that joke about beating the meat, so went for Rocky. All right, so this is like probably like the form of training that most people use, to be honest. It's called analytical, and all it is basically just working one single thing. So like, yeah, but you were a bodybuilder, you would basically just work a bicep or a calf or something or other, like just do repetition over and over again. And Mr. B in football, this would be something like maybe taking penalties, just doing one action repeatedly. Yeah?
Yeah, mine wouldn't be penalties though, but yeah, go on.
What would yours be?
Free corners.
Taking corners?
Yeah, taking corners. There's no pressure on corners, and my penalty takers, they never know who's taking them. So I when the penalty comes, I say you're taking it rather than have somebody nominated. So yeah, but free kicks would be mine. But yeah, sorry, go on.
Yeah, so the point is, right, is that like this is like the training that most people probably think of when they think of training, like just working on one aspect of something. But if you're like managing a football team, this isn't the best use of your resources, is
it? Beating your meat.
Yeah, brilliant. But like if you're organising training, you're not going to have them just focusing on one thing, surely.
Yeah, I hear that. A mixture of stuff, yeah?
Yeah. And that mixture of stuff is called like integrated training. Yeah, but who are those two practicing their headers there? That's
Kevin Keegan, legend of the game, and someone I despise, Mr. Blair, who actually bought a house off my grandfather, funny enough, in Richmond Avenue.
Is that true? There's not a joke coming.
That's true. It's true.
All right.
My grandparents sold their house to Eddie Grant. Oh no, sorry. And then Tony Blair bought the Navy house. That's right. Not the.
Where did they live? Where was the road?
Richmond Avenue in North London.
To get
Tony Blair, not a fan of him. Not a fan, but yeah.
All right. Well, I picked him because do you remember when he was playing head tennis with Keegan?
I don't remember this, no, but it's.
They were like heading the ball to each other. He was surprisingly good, Tony Blair.
Really?
Yeah, like they did at least 10 like headers to each other. But But that's just an example of integrated training where instead of like working on one thing, you're working on several things. So if you're thinking about it in terms of football, it would be like someone passes you the ball, you dribble through a couple of cones, and then you take a shot at a goalkeeper. So you're working on, you're working on different things, and that they're kind of specific situations. So when you're drilling something, you're normally doing integrated training where you're trying to get a technical alongside a physical component. Is everyone's all right with that? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that one. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Let's get on to the fun stuff. This is the model that has come out of Portugal, and this is the model that Ruben Amorim will be like. It'll just be him. It'll be everything he knows and everything he's learned, and it'll be what is being brought to United. Like Ten Hag had a very similar thing, but it's called tactical periodization. All right, which sounds like a load of gobbledygook, yeah. Yeah.
Periodization.
Breaking down the word, isn't it? Periodization.
Yeah, that's about cycles, the periodization. So what it basically is that instead of like with integrated training, you're looking at technical and fitness, and with analytical, you're mainly looking at fitness. With tactical periodization, every aspect of training has to be involved around tactics.
Okay.
All right. So there's the tactical component comes first, and then you have the physical, like the mental and the technical parts. But what they're trying to do is train something that will be happening in a game and giving the players the kind of tactics to do it. And I've got a second part, which if we have time, we'll go into, which is like how you do the cycles and things like that. But the key point is that when Ruben comes in, everything is going to be based around his system.
Yeah.
Like every aspect of training. Okay. And that leads us on to what is a game model. All right. So like there's a lot of silly words and things, but we'll get through them. So essentially, the club and the head coach kind of agree on a philosophy. So if, let's say, right, we're managing the chat, and last season we got promoted on goal difference in the league. We've got to come up with what our vision is for the season, which, Mr. B, what would you be focusing on?
What, for me personally, or what United are going to be focusing on?
You personally.
Winning every game.
Okay, so you want to get promoted. How are you going to do it?
Well, they don't train.
So yeah, but let's pretend they do.
All right, yeah, it would be working on different aspects of the game. Game models, I'd be interested to see how that works, like scenarios in game. I couldn't plan scenarios other than, you know, the free kicks, certain areas, penalties, and maybe playing out from the back. I'm not sure how you could get scenarios into the games. So I'm interested to see how this game model philosophy kind of works in game.
Okay, so the game model is basically just your system, but it's your system of tactics, and it's first of all you come up with like a vision or a philosophy, or in this case, like what your aims would be for the season, and then you base your game model around that. So that's actually, Steph, I think you're probably joking, but that's actually like a really good point, which is like, are you going to take attacking football? Are you going to play defensive football, and so on? So are there any comments before we like proceed to get to the good stuff?
Well, regarding what you're talking about, there's not many, but just a few jokes. People are not settled down yet, like the noisy child the classroom when they just come in from lunch or something, you know. And he's settle down. Score more goals in the opposition, obviously, from Stephanie. Mitesh is saying here, energy and rotations if players are underperforming. And let's see, sorry. There's nothing else. There's just some jokes here. I'm sure better comments will come.
Yeah, are they just doing like what dinosaurs play a five-a-side team?
Well,
like, put Stegosaurus at the back.
Here we go. Does the influence of a manager permeate through a club's age group teams? Imagine
It depends on the club, innit? Like, that's kind of like specific to, it has to be specific. But I'll give you an example, right? This is, I think, what Manchester United's vision will be, which is win titles, play direct attacking football, incorporate academy players, respect our European tradition.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is this your opinion or is this
my opinion?
Okay.
So if we were to do Real Madrid, I think it would be something like win the Champions League, sign the best attacking player in the world, play loads of superstars or something, like something like that. So here, this vision would be what Ineos have decided. Yeah?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
All right. And then they're gonna talk to Amorim, and he's got to come up with a game model that incorporates this. All right, are you with me so far?
Of course.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah, me too, Big G. Me too, Big G. Definitely. Twice.
You're hearing gay modelling.
Twice you said that, and I looked at Mr. B. I thought he caught that as well.
You know what?
Earlier on, I saw Mr. B. I looked at him. I thought, Mr. B, did he just say something else? Anyway, let's move on. Let's not get distracted.
All right. So, like, your game model, correct? Yeah. Okay. Is based around the 4 states of a football match, which, like, you'd have heard. Even Ragnick talked about this. Like, Jose's talked about this loads of times. There's only like 4 things that happen in a football match. You either have the ball, you don't have the ball, you're getting the ball, or you're losing the ball. Yeah.
Yep.
So that's all that really ever happens in a football match. And so what your game model is planning around these states. So we're going to put it all together now. What do you mean set pieces?
He's asking a question.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, attacking set pieces are a big part of it, but set pieces are different because you have more control over them. But I understand the point, which is I think why Ragnick said like teams don't train enough on set pieces. It's because like set pieces are separate to the game model, and I think that's why you have set pieces coaches and things. But it does relate to it because you have different intensity during the week. So when you put it all together, Yabba, you've got to look at what the players are, like in your squad, what the vision is, which is like play attacking football, for example, what the expectations are, which is, where you're going to, what would be success, what would be failure. And then look at the principles is essentially how we're going to do that. But you put all that together and you get your game model. Okay? Is everyone with me so far on this?
No, most certainly. I am.
All right. That's a game model right there. So that is incredibly confusing when you first look at it. And we're not going to spend any time looking at this. I just want to show you the detail that has to come in. So what's really cool about this, right, is you decide what brand of football you want to play. Okay? So attacking, fast transitions, all that kind of stuff. And the coaches have got to sit down and plan every aspect around the 4 game stages of with the ball, without the ball, and losing it. So, for example, I remember Ten Hag saying one of his aims was to create the best transition team in world football. Yeah, that's part of his game model. Like that was what they were working on that season, was to just be incredible at transitions, which is obviously an attacking transition because, teams are disorganized when they win the ball and stuff like that. So does this, Mr. B, you're probably just coming in now seeing all this gobbledygook here, but you're muted.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I've taken a picture of that screen last time because there was so much stuff on it. This screen that I'm on, I could never see all of this.
Yeah, you're not meant to see all of this. This is just an example of like the detail that goes in. So the point is that like when Amorim comes in and stuff, he's going to sit down and he's going to know every single he's going to have down what he wants his players to do in every single situation on the game, and he's going to train them in it. That's kind of the point. So principles, which we'll do next. But when I always talk about how I hate formations in football because I don't think they're reflective of a football match. Like, this is an example of it, because we're going to be in different shapes, doing different things at different stages in the game. And today I read Jose Mourinho's game model that he gave to Porto like 25 years ago. And it's incredible, because it's like what shape the team is going to be in for every single phase of play. So the first 3 phases in possession against any formation. Like, that is the level of detail that these guys have to have now. So if we were managing an imaginary club, we'd have to sit down, we'd have to go through all this stuff, like what our vision is, and then we'd have to work out, looking at these states of the football match, how to create this. So when we lose the ball high up the pitch, what do we want to happen? What do we want our players to know? And it's incredible to me that this is the detail that they're going to have to come in with, like Amorim and so on. And then they've got to get it across to the players. Isn't that amazing?
That's the hard part, getting it across to the players. I mean, obviously it looks a lot more difficult, and they have their ways of incorporating it. But Jesus Christ,
it's not. I mean, do you remember that story I talked about, Yabba, where I was in Mendoza doing my first pre-season, and I planned to go on a massive night out with the lads, but instead I had to stay in and study because I'd been shocking in training. That's what I had to study. It was this big binder of just tactical pictures of where we were meant to be and stuff. And it's like so much of like my understanding of football comes from the game model that I was taught like 15 years ago. Like and it's interesting. It's incredible to me, because I've never, you would never be given it in this kind of detail. You know what I mean? Like, you'd be given it in little sections and you'd get your understanding up.
I think if it's planned out correctly, like Tyron's making a good point here. I wonder how many footballers roll their eyes when they're presented with this kind of data. But if it's planned out in a way where it does sort of take you, and you want to sort of get enthusiastic about certain things, and you start seeing results from it, I think more footballers will be on board with it. I mean, you have to respect your teacher. This is the thing. So I'm trying to take this in now, this information, but I think it's just common sense. I think every manager strives to do this, but to have the detail and planning and the directives, in order like that, it just makes more sense than someone just spilling out things, right, when we ain't got the ball, get behind the balls, basics like that. Football is an art and football is a science, and this is very good so far from what I can see, how to get the best results, It's like scientists. You're breaking it down like a scientist. You are a scientist, Bath Time.
I am a scientist, yes.
It's like, what's the conclusion? What are you trying to achieve? How do you get there? What's the result? What's the conclusion? And then you can see it right now with what he's done at Sporting and Braga as well. He's been successful, so that's why seems to be working. But I would imagine every coach would try to achieve this, but there must be a method on the steps the way to get there.
There is.
What's brilliant about it? Seeing this little chart here, I'm looking at it. I can see just about, but it makes a lot of sense from what I'm seeing.
Like, as I say, this is just an example of the detail, and this is a very simple one. To be honest, there's far more detailed ones. But you're right. Like, how do you get it across to players? Like, because you can't just put this in front of Luke Shaw and go home, have a nice weekend, come back, know all of this. Never going to happen. So the way that you do it is with principles, sub-principles, and sub-principles. Okay? So principles are something that I talk about all the bloody time on this show. And it's basically just a general rule. Okay, so it doesn't matter it doesn't matter who you are or something. You've got to carry these rules. You've got to carry these rules out. So if, for example, you're in possession, right? You've got to be close to your teammates. You've got to be at an angle. The first thing you want to do is get the ball through the lines, and you only want to switch from central positions, right? These are all very, very simple things about how to play football, right? These are like, you can call them fundamentals, you can call them principles, but these are the things that you tell the players that they've got to go out and do, right? Basics, easy, okay? The sub-principles where things get like really, really interesting, but I'll give you another example of like for attacking. The principles of the team is that we want to score as many goals as possible. We're going to emphasize possession over risk, organize zonally, and we're going to play slow and short. Okay, that's just basically sort of attacking football, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah. No issues with that.
Yeah.
All right. Then you get sub principles, which is where the fun starts. So a sub principle, which is like, so this is, you have the first order of your principles, and then you get into the details. And the details are things like behind and between. So when you're not on the ball, your job in central midfield is to position yourself behind and between two players. Okay, and that means that you get in between the lines. Yeah?
Yep.
Draw a man before passing. So when you get the ball, don't people always say pass the ball quicker, like move it quickly. That's normally a poor way to play football. You don't want to move the ball, you want to move the block. And the way you move the block is you wait for a man to commit to you before you pass the ball off. Right, and then a technical one here, pass to the far foot, means that like they're the furthest away from the press. All players are trained to pass to the far foot. And then you get interesting ones like 2 players on a vertical, 3 players on a horizontal. And what that does there is those are all quite simple instructions, but they allow you to organize zonally. They allow you to manipulate a block, and they like play into the fact that you're playing short, you're playing on angles, you're keeping the ball. So these are the sub principles of it all. Okay. Are you happy, Mr. B? Are you happy? Well, you're muted, so I assume you are.
Sorry, yeah, I am. Sorry, yeah. I'm just looking. You know, we are always trying to study bits and pieces. So go on.
Yeah. So these are the sub principles, and then you have like they call them sub principles, but they're just individual instructions that are specific to a match.
Right. So these the sub would be which would be then said to them on the day before the game. In specifics, the sub is the main system or main body of work that you want to do as a whole team. Yeah.
Yes, it can be in groups or sectors, which is like, so a sector is like your first line, like your winger, your striker, etc. The first line of pressure, and then a group is like your pivot, your left back, and your left winger.
See, that's what I said. Some footballers just ain't going to handle this.
Yeah, but that's why you have principles. So like this is why you hear Ten Hag. He used to say all the time, they're not following the basic principles.
Yeah, and but his principles were probably wrong.
Well, yeah, like his game model was absolutely wrong. But what the point is, right?
Yeah, Big G. That is, I tell you, bruv, that was me. That's me too. It's strange how things. Yeah, that's me to a T, bruv. 100%.
But it's like, look, when you go and play football, right? All of you, like all of you that play, will have like little rules that you have, which is like, you know, come and receive the ball, like play the way you're facing, like stuff like that. And these principles are things that you are taught in training that add up. Okay, so and the point being is that you're never without an instruction when you receive the ball. That you have these kind of core concepts that you always fall back on, that allow you to play the system.
Yeah, and this is where I'm not sure a lot of players can cope with. Maybe you know, they would have preferred the Harry Redknapps go out there and blah blah blah, rather than having to sit down and technically learn. Because this is long for certain players. This is long.
Yeah, but Harry Redknapp's a good example, because I remember there was a game once where Harry Redknapp was asked like how he turned it around at half time, and he said he told one player to run around more and another one to stop running about so much. And those are, and there'll be reasons why he said that, which are the principles, which is, you know, he wanted his striker to run the channel and he wanted his midfielder to stop vacating space. But it's how he delivered the instructions that's so important. And that's such a huge part of the coaching, because with Benny McCarthy or whatever, Yabba, we heard about how brilliant Ten Hag was with his tactical work, that it was absolutely great, but he could never really get it across to the players, is what I think he was saying. That's the difference between a great coach and, you know, a laptop manager, as it were, is that they're able to easily give these ideas out to the players, and the players are able to understand it. So, I mean, what instructions did you get, Yabba?
Well, I think it's about the personality as well. We've just gone through some really key points here. People are saying, "Oh God, this is how are we going to take this in? There's a lot to take in here." But you have to be infused to take it in. You have to be listening. You have to be inspired to take this in. It's about winning, isn't it? It's about being part of a team. You're talking about all the drills that you're doing, incorporating many things. One of those things that's not been mentioned is getting people involved, the participation, for wanting to achieve things as a team, you know. And I think looking at Erik Ten Hag, who clearly is a tactical guy, he knows his stuff, and then looking at Amorim, from what I've seen, watched his interview today, talking about what he's asked a question about Ruud and playing a three at the back, and he just answered it like a don. He's got his, you can see from his personality. I was very interested in what he had to say and the way he said it. And I think he could get across to the players, even though I disputed it before, because I thought he's 39 years old. How's he going to get through to the players? But I think he can inspire the players by the way he talks. He's very sure of himself. And he actually said things like, whatever I say, I mean, and it goes, basically, you know. So he had to have a conversation with Ruud and tell him that, what was going on. He had to have a conversation with, he was asked by the journalist as well about what the three at the back, whether he's going to incorporate that. And I got the feeling that he would. He was like, yeah, we can take steps towards that.
Good. No, it's good.
Take steps towards it. So the most important thing for me is how you deliver the message. You know, you can shoot a three-pointer and thing, but it's how you do it. You do it with style, technique, it goes in, and you do it with a bit of character and thing. It can swoosh. You make it swoosh into the net, it's good. But if you do it in a way where it bounces off the backboard and off the rim and all that kind of thing, it's not so sweet, and not many people find that attractive. So I think it's how you deliver the message, how you deliver the lesson. That's important. With a bit of and he's got that personality, which is very important when you're dealing with footballers of this level who are easily distracted because they've got someone pinging their phone, some fit girls or something, or they want to talk about other stuff. But I think this will be. I'm very infused, bro. And so far, this is great stuff because it's simple, but it's very effective. And I think having the right person to do it, you know, you can say, well, anyone could do this, but you have to have the right characteristics, personality, charisma, and authority to get that message across to players. So I think he's the man.
I think that's a good point, because there's been a couple of comments that both Ten Hag and Amorim have made, and I think it's because they just assume that people know what a game model is, and they've been interpreted differently. For example, Ten Hag saying we can't play the same way that Ajax played. He's talking about the principles and the sub-principles in the game model, about how players do different things, about how the league is different, and so on. And Amorim said, I can't play the same way, at United that I do at Porto. They're not talking about wildly different things. They're talking about the specifics and the particulars of their game model, that these have to be adjusted because of different players in a different league and so on. Like Amorim, I believe, has only ever played, he hasn't played three at the back for only 2 games in his managerial career, and he lost both of them. So I'd be very surprised if we don't have a 3 at the back system. But we should probably do some comments, Mr. B, innit?
To be fair, there the ones that needed to be said or needed to be shown are up. The rest of them, they're kind of just talking to themselves. To be fair, bath time.
Well, I just want to say shout out to Eddie Football Waffle. We know Eddie, part of the community, and he's saying great tactical talk here. He's dropping a like. Thank you so much. Also, we've got Bart, the serious fan, saying when Mr. B was doing his A levels, he had Ben Franklin in his class as a joke about his age. Ten Hag didn't give good team principles off the ball. Never mind on the ball. That's from Tyrone. And Stephanie saying the importance of teaching and explaining is saying it in a relatable way, which is very true. Stuart Marshall's noticed that Ruben won't take any SHIT, and Amorim is more charismatic than Ten Hag, says Tyrone. I think the track record of manager also matters, says Bart. Players don't like someone who nitpicks on them or manages their personal life. And ask yourself where Sporting would finish in the Prem under Amorim. It will give you an idea of what he could do with United with more resources. Where is Eric Ten Hag's tactical shape? I didn't see it when we lost the ball at all.
Well, I mean, the fact that we conceded the same goal over and over again under Ten Hag does suggest that there was a tactical shape.
And opposition managers worked out how to mess with that tactical shape. You know what I mean?
They certainly did. All right, what's my last one? Outcome. All right. Now, I think that this is the most interesting part of the game model, right? Is that the idea is that the squad know what to do when they lose the ball, when they win the ball, when they're defending, and when they're attacking, right? So there isn't a lot of thinking going on, as it were. Like they have these principles that guide them, and then they play within it. And so even when things are chaotic and you've completely lost your shape and there's men in the wrong places and things, you've got the ability to fall back on these principles and embrace the bounty of chance. So it doesn't matter what is going on in the game. If you go by these principles, they will guide you and you'll be all right, is the thinking. Now, Mr. B, the most interesting part to me is that I used to think of these principles that I got out in Chile a bit like a sonnet, where like in a sonnet or a haiku or poetry or something like that, there's rules, but you can be creative within them. So so some of our stuff was like you needed to have 3 players horizontally, 2 vertically, and stuff like that. But within that, you can kind of do what you want. You know, so if you want to drop a little bit or get a little bit further, like it gives you the opportunity to sort of solve problems on the pitch. Because for me, I think Ten Hag's big problem is that he gave them far too many sub-principles of where they had to be all the time. And if one thing went wrong or one person didn't do it, the entire structure collapsed and our players never really kind of bought into it. Like,
so that means that the structure was wrong then?
No, I don't know.
Okay.
I think what it was is that I think that Eric was like Stephen Hawking in his mind. Like he had everything mapped out. You could like, is it Doctor Strange in the Avengers that looks into 20 million universes?
20 scenarios and which one? There's only one that worked. Or
yeah, well, in ours,
Ten Hag, he didn't find the one that worked, did he?
Yeah, I can tell you that if Ten Hag looked into every bloody multiverse, Rashford is offside in all of them. And that's the thing, is that they were given too much information. So, like the best instruction I always had from my manager when I first started, and I was playing as a right-sided box-to-box midfielder, was he just said, get ahead of the ball when we got it. And from there, with all the principles and things, I know if it's got to be a suicide run, I know if I've got to, go central or whatever. But I had quite a lot of agency in my decision. And with players like Varane, Ronaldo, Casemiro, I think if you're giving them like a flow chart of where they've got to be at every stage of the game and how they've got to do anything, that people aren't going to respond to that, are they?
Yeah, no. You're
too much.
Right. It's overdoing it a bit with Ten Hag. That's what I'm saying. You got to give some respect. I mean, I'm glad you're not trashing him completely because the formula's right, but it's just about how you deliver it. That's the main.
Was
thing.
it was the formula right though? Even if the players had played, there was too much. As Bath Time said, there was too much of the same goal being conceded. So that's where I was asking if his main principles of how he wanted the game to be played were wrong.
My thing is, what I mean by that is there's theory and there's practice. So putting things in theory, they sound good, but putting them into practice with 11 guys getting them on tune, I think that's the difficult part about football management, So Ten Hag, in theory, could write books and talk, give cinemas and presentations on football tactics and that kind of thing, but delivering it and getting it over to the side is a different thing altogether. So I think that's why Pep, for example, is great tactically, but he always wants good players to keep his theory.
That's the most important part of tactics, is having good players.
Yeah.
But I mean, for me, the things that always struck me about Ten Hag was he went berserk every pre-season after one game. Like, I think it might have been Real Madrid the year before, and he did it this year as well, where he came out and he hammered the team for not following principles. Same thing he said every time. And we did beat City in a cup final. And maybe that was the only time they followed it to a T.
Yeah.
Because that wasn't a lucky win, was it, in the cup final? We did them. We deserved to win that.
The cup final game, did we play with two? Did we play with we played with two sort of pivots, didn't we?
I think it was
like a box defense, right?
It was McTominay,
Kobe scored,
Mainu, and Amrabat was the midfield, with Bruno as a false nine making a box with them.
Yeah.
And that's an example of the vision, actually, that we talked about earlier, because when Wilcox came in, he told Ten Hag there's got to be a different way of playing. We're going to do this now. And that's the vision. And Ten Hag had to adjust the game model. And maybe that's why we did much better after we changed the formation, because he didn't have time to complicate things so much. We just focused on the principles of what you're going to do. And I mean, but the point of all of this is that the tactics are at the heart of everything that you do in training. So everything in training is organized around those 4 game states, plus set pieces. But it'll be about what you do when you lose the ball, which is about getting organized, isn't it?
Mm.
Because what I always say, that the first thing you need to do is get your body in between the ball and the goal.
Yeah.
Right. Then you've got to force them out wide, and you can't commit. You've got a delay to allow your team to get back and organized. And that is a principle that I was taught on what you do when you lose the ball. And then you look at the difference between Liverpool and Man City, or us and Man City. When Man City win the ball back, normally they send it back home, and they then organize their team into shape, and then they attack again. With United, we just go and we try, because the other defense is disorganized. So when you lose the ball, your team is disorganized, and United try and take advantage of that by quick balls through the lines and stuff like that. So you train that in a game. You'll get your defenders, you'll get your attackers, and the attackers have to score a goal, obviously, and the defenders have to organize themselves. And that is kind of what tactical periodization is about. It's about recreating game states whilst following principles.
And this is a thing for all managers, right? This isn't just a Amorim or a Ten Hag. This is a Pep. This is a what's his name at Forest?
Nuno.
A Nuno.
Well, he's Portuguese. He'll 100% be doing it.
What about what's the Leicester guy?
Rodgers?
No, not Rodgers. The one who was at.
Clark?
He was at.
I don't know.
Martin O'Neill?
No, who's at Forest? The one he got sacked from
Oh,
Yeah, they definitely right,
Leicester.
Mr. B.
Cooper. Is it no?
Cooper, yeah.
Right, Mr. B. They will all have some form of this, right? Even like Ferguson would have had some form of this, right? Where it's not just going to be integrated training. They're going to look at the things that the team are bad at and try and recreate it on the pitch and so on to try and train them better in it. It's just that this is like a methodology that is mapped out and done because they've sat there and they've planned their game model. So if you think of like the Liverpool boot room, that is basically what they did. They sat there and they talked all summer about what they're going to do, and they came up with an idea. But this is a sort of more, scientific way, as it were, of doing it by sort of writing it down, committing, thinking through it, thinking what demands you want on the players, how the players are going to be able to carry it out, and so on.
Yeah.
Is that making sense?
Yeah, totally. I mean, totally. But like you say, you're going back to like the boot room from the 70s and that, and the same formula applies. It's just about implementing it, and that was very successful, and that was seen as revolutionary at the time for Liverpool because they were playing pass and move football, which really stepped them up. But they had a lesson in 1972. Red Star Belgrade gave Shankly a kick in the arse. So they had to, but they had to adapt to say, right, well, how come these guys are playing such great football in Serbia? Let's do something here, and that's where the boot room came along through failure and having to get with the times. And I think that's what we're doing now under Amorim. This is really
this is when when people talk about structure and so on. This is kind of an example of it because the Liverpool boot room was like a combination of vision and game model. Like pass and move is a vision basically, and Bilal, do one. I am amazing at parties. I plan it out. There's a transition between the kitchen and the
game model. At a party. That's
exactly.
Yeah.
All right. Now I want to show you how it all works. Don't worry. This will be much quicker now, unless there are actually any comments that people are interested in it. I don't know.
Keep going.
All right. So this is the thing that also I think Ten Hag got wrong because of comments that came out from the squad. So we know that every exercise has to have a tactical component relating to the 4 game stages. Okay. You also plan training in cycles, and this is the bit I've got to say I don't really understand because I'm not going to go and read up on it. I want practical experience of it. But you plan for your next game, right? Obviously, that's what your training is. Your training is geared towards the next match you play. But also, people like Ferguson used to do this. The physical stuff is planned out so that you peak at a certain part of the season, which is traditionally towards the end where you need to get results, win cups, and so on. And I think I said last week that I wonder if Forest are doing something different this year where they're peaking early to try and get an advantage, get their points, get their safety up, and so on. But it's about the physical conditioning of the team. Okay? Yeah?
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So how do you do that? Right, you have a weekly schedule where in mid like this. So let's say we play on a Sunday. Your most intensive day is going to be Wednesday. Okay, that is the day where it's going to be hard work. Okay,
that's the furthest day away from game day, right?
Yeah, that's the first exactly. And then you have increasingly lighter sessions the nearer you are to a match.
Yeah.
So we heard so much stuff about the intensity of training at United last year,
especially after the games. Varane moaned a lot, didn't he?
Yeah, and do you remember how mad I got when one of the youth players had played the day before and was then in the squad for a European game? It was absolutely ridiculous. You can't. You have to give players a rest day. That's how the training is done. Is that there's a rest day and then it's like lighter and so on. And I think, I've got an example I just pinched off the internet of like how this kind of works. But you can see that like Thursday is endurance. So like if they're playing on Sunday, that's the day where you're doing a lot of stuff. Like that is not going to be a fun day. You're going to be knackered at that day, and like on the day before, you're doing very simple things like set pieces and so on. Yeah, we'll get to that, Jeff. That's one of the big problems that we've got. And the other thing, I think I've mentioned this, but you can do two things at once. So if you're doing defensive transitions, like the attack, if you're doing attacking transitions, you're going to have defenders there that are going to be practicing how they organize themselves in a defensive transition, and you're going to have attackers that are going to be working on the opposite. And that leads to something that I think is really important, is that the quality of player and the mentality of the player is incredibly important to the game model in training. Because when you go to a better club, you're up against better players, and it should raise the level through training. Like, how often have you heard United players from Ferguson talking about the training was harder than playing matches?
Yeah.
That's because of the quality of the player that they were up against. And when you think of like, why did McTominay play over Van der Beek? A lot of it is down to training and principles. Like every manager has that player that they love, that they take everywhere with them and stuff. It's normally because they raise the standard in training and because they follow their principles. And it's so important to have people like that. That's why I think Ten Hag begged Martinez to come in when he was on crutches to be around the dressing room to make sure that those standards were being hit and so on.
Good point.
And then the last one, this is fun, is scale. So essentially what this is that we play so many small-sided possession-based games because you can do more of them regularly because you're covering less ground. So it allows you to train more stuff. And also scale is about if you're training everyone.
Mm-hmm.
So what?
Start again? Sorry,
yeah, let me start again. Right. Scale is that training can scale from individual to team.
Right.
And it also scales the intensity. So if you're playing 11 versus 11, that is far more intense than 4v4. Because there's bigger spaces to cover, right? So when you're trying to train a principle, you're more likely to do it in small-sided games than you are in big games. And these are the games where the coach, and I hate this more than anything, you'll be doing something like a rondo or a drill. He'll blow the whistle, he'll stop it, and and that's where the principles come in. But that doesn't happen in 11-a-side.
Would that be his principles, right?
Yeah, that would be the game model. So it'll be you'll be playing and you'll be doing something. He'll blow the whistle and he'll come out and he'll move you to where you should be or explain what you should be doing. And then when you get it right, he'll then go, and that's why we do it. And that's kind of how you get the information across to the players.
And I think those are the nuggets that the players want to see. I don't think they saw enough of those habits happening in game. And I think that's maybe where they lost the faith in what Ten Hag was doing.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it was the Newcastle away game where I think it was Martial's last game. Him and Rashford were trying to press, and they had absolutely no idea what they were doing. They looked lost and confused. They were shouting at each other, and that was an example of a really poorly coached press. And what they should have been doing is that they should have been doing this in training with Ten Hag blowing up and saying, Martial, right, when we press, the first principle, pressure on the ball. Okay. Second principle, get your body between the ball and the goal. Force it out wide. we're trying to win the ball in this area over here, and your job is to do this. Right, and so that's why so when you're scaling, you can only really do that in small-sided games. You can't stop 22 people who are trying to play a game of football because Martial is 5 yards out of position. Do you know what? I think we will, Big G. You're going to get a quiz at the end. All right, and the last thing is just is training components. So I think that this is obviously fascinating, but you have the collective, which is the whole team. So if you're training a block, for example, you're gonna have the whole team there moving from side to side. So if you're doing zonal stuff, you've got to say, right, left back here, centre back here, pivot here, left wing here, and how you move and things. And then you've got your sectors, which is just your midfield, defence, and attacking line. So one of our big problems with sectors last year was the distance between the lines.
Yeah, spaces were too big.
Yeah, exactly. And then you've got groups, which is just like units on the pitch. So if you're playing out from the back, pivot, centre back, left back, how they're all going to go. And then individual, I've just picked Rasmus Højlund, for example, centre forward, where there's things that you've got to improve in terms of your positioning, how you address the ball, and so on. And that is an example of scale where you've gone from everyone to one person, but it's all with that tactical component at the heart of it.
Okay.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right. Now, here are the questions. Training is planned long in advance for physical conditioning, so you can peak. Thank you. So you can peak at the end of the season. Because of the way training is and the days off, over Christmas, for example, you're going to have less intense training and less time on the training ground. So how is Amorim going to get his principles across to the players in the coming weeks?
Is that the question?
Yeah.
Is that the question?
Yeah.
WhatsApp messages.
I think on the training ground he's going to have to do it, and he's going to have to find the time to do it. We talked about the intensity, like on a Wednesday, he's got a game on a Sunday, for example. He's going to have to pick a time and take his time as well. Put down the principles initially. This is what he actually said when he was actually asked something like this. How is he going to incorporate the three at the back or whatever? He said he's going to have to go in, assess. First of all, he's going to have to assess the players and what the qualities are. And he said, because he doesn't know them, it's going to take him a while to see what the players can do in the roles, specific roles that they have under his system. And then once he assesses that, he's going to have to obviously do that through training by doing drills, and say they're going to have to give 110% and adapt and be fast learners. And I think what happens is when a new manager comes into the club, the players are on it. They don't want to be left out of the team. They want to be favoured by the guys. So everyone's going to have an opportunity to really perform, and that's where they're going to have to do it in training. So I think he's going to have to get his results early, identify the players which are suited for the roles, and personality as well. See who can pick it up early with the limited time that they have to. I mean, I think Jeff was saying there, or Stephanie was saying about game every three days at the moment. That's what we're getting in the European League Cup as well. So he's going to have a diary and set time aside, and maybe have longer days, get them in earlier, or maybe have 2 sessions a day. Just initially, without burning them out, initially just to go through some role play about what they want to do.
Well, yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Because I think that when the comments that you're referring to about he has to have a look at the players and things like that, it's more about how high the line can be and stuff like that. Like, I'm fairly sure that he's going to come in and play his system, and he knows his system inside out. It's that you have to look at players like Rashford, Garnacho, Bruno, Kobe, etc., and you've got to think about the best positions to get them in and the best way of getting the best out of them. Because one of Ten Hag's big issues is that he was almost too team based, and the fact that no one was ever maximised. Like there was no one there that was like. Do you remember like Fergie used to have Tevez and Rooney rolling up a red carpet for Ronaldo to go like step overs down to score the goals. Like there was a clear intention to clear the centre of the box to allow Ronaldo to use his pace, power, and finishing to get in. But under Ten Hag, there was nothing like that at all. And I don't know if we're about to have the greatest pre-season in the history of football, 6 months of them getting this in. But I'm really, he's got to be good in order to get this information across as quickly as possible. Hopefully, I mean, the players, they played football all their lives and they'll have like principles they know. But the hardest part, I think, isn't actually learning a new game model. It's forgetting an old one. Because it's almost like an automatic thing. It's like unconscious processing.
Muscle memory.
Yeah. So what do you think, Mr. V?
I hope they're willing to learn bath time. See, now when you all of a sudden Amorim coming in's frightening me because I'm thinking about all these players who have played under Jose, who have played under, with their old different styles. I mean, look, I'm expecting a bounce. It's how long the bounce is for and whether he can identify the players who are just doing it for the bounce. Because let's be honest, we kind of know who the players who we feel should be sold are, because nothing's really going to change unless it becomes miraculous. I'm not worried, bath time. I'm not worried. The 2 weeks that he's got, I think, and the fact that he's in now, I don't see a problem, to be fair. They'll learn and they'll learn quickly because they know they have to. And the fact that we're not all right, 15th, we're 14th, or whatever, but points wise, it's nothing. That's 1 or 2 wins and they're back in. So I think it's going to work really, really well.
Tyrone just said here that honestly, if Amorim can't do well at Man United, I give up. We've had so many goddamn managers at this football club. But it's just the secret is just to trigger the players to get them playing, because what we saw the other day with Leicester, I mean, really good post-match show, good watch along as well. What we saw with Leicester was some exciting bits that excited me, especially seeing Bruno, who's a fantastic player. If we can get the best out of him, the numbers that he can produce, and with his 2 number 10s, he's going to be skinning teeth right now about playing in this side and the ability he's got. I think he's always scanning, he's always looking. I think he'd be natural for this sort of system and thing, not just because he's Portuguese, but he'd grown up in Portugal. Like you said this has been going on since like the 90s, I think, half time when you started the show, So I think I don't have any concerns. The more I learn about this guy, the more confident I'm getting about how he can sort of transform this team into a team of winners. And we might have a few bumps along the way, but I think if the philosophy is right, then we can't argue with that. And as long as most people get to know it, and like we did with Ten Hag when he came in, but this is slightly different for me, because what I've learned from Ten Hag, I backed him because I remember I bought his book and I thought, he's taught, trying to learn something about Dutch football and his principles, but I didn't take into account what it takes at the high end. I'm a manager now, and I start to realize how difficult it is to get my message across, and I have to really reconsider what my personality, how to get the best out of the players, what to do to withdraw, for example, I don't chat in the group chat anymore since I've become manager. I've had that separation. So when I do say something, hopefully they listen. If I was always chatting in the group chat, I'm one of the boys. You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot of psychological and understanding, psychological gameplay or understanding you have to have as a football manager to get the message across. And I think this guy as young as he is what is obviously just coming out of pro football, played at a top level, played international level as well. He understands, obviously coming from Portugal, where you said this is a new formula they have about how to plan a football match in the different stages. I think he's a perfect fit at the moment, and be interested to see how long it takes to see a change and see an identity in our club, which everyone, all the fans are dying to see. And it's a great opportunity for him. And I think this is why he's taken the job, because it will make him even look more of a genius if he turns it around just like that, when we haven't been able to do it in 10, 11 years. Perfect timing for him to really deliver.
What I think is really interesting about it is, like Jose obviously was the guy that brought this to England, and you can see that. I think that his principles and his kind of vision, or whatever it is, affected Chelsea for more than a decade after he left. Like in terms of like how they defended, how they transitioned, and so on. Like when you get this right and the game model is good, and you teach good, well thought through, understandable principles to the players, like there's no way of beating it. Like it's. I mean, Mr. B, what are you thinking?
Do you want me to answer the part that you were just talking about, or the game principle?
Any of them?
Rough time. I'm skeptical about the players. I'll be honest. I'm skeptical about a lot of the players that we have at the club. I'm not sure some of them are interested in learning the new parts of what's going to be coming, and I want them removed really, really quickly, to be fair. I just want things done quickly. His philosophy, fine. If it takes, the 6 months till the end of the season, we'll have to suck it up and take it. But I want players who they feel cannot. This isn't down to Ineos, the players who he wants to get rid of. Obviously, we know Anthony's gone. But if there are players who he feels that he doesn't want to keep, if he decided he didn't want to keep Garnacho, I want the club to back him. I don't want there to be a conflict of interest, because we talk about this formation. There's players who are just not going to be able to play, who are just not going to be able to play in the style that Amorim wants. Does he have, or do the club have the balls to get rid of the players that he might want to get rid of? That's my biggest thoughts. In regards to them learning, some will, some won't.
Do you not think though that, like, you talk about the players don't want to learn? If it's delivered in the right way, if someone comes to you and says, I can make you a better player, I can get you back in the England team, I can get you 25 goals a season, I know there's a player in you, like, come with me and together we're going to get you to the top. I think all of them buy into that.
Yeah, but then as a manager, this is the spiel that you're giving the players. How long are you giving them? You need to realize if it's a bounce or if it's real. If it's just temporary, and they're just doing it because you're in. I mean, I look at the situation with he's not at our club, Sancho. He came, he's done well at Chelsea. We haven't seen him.
Hasn't had a shot on target at Chelsea.
Right, and we haven't seen him for a few weeks now. Has Sancho now gone back into his Sancho-esque self?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's the part that I want Amorim to be able to deal with. I want him to be able to assess who the bullshitters are and who's the ones who are just doing it for show, and who the real players who will die and bend over backwards, play through injury for Man United. Those are the players who I want him to be able to focus on. I'm not sure if there's anybody still in the club. I mean, it might be Jason Wilcox, it might be, some of the physios, but there has to be people who can let them know he's just.
Well, I think it'll be Brailsford.
He did it when Ten Hag was here. He did it when Ranić was here. You think it'll be Brailsford, yeah?
Yeah, he's. I mean, that's what he is. He's Mr. Sports Science, and he's conducted like interviews with all the players. Like he was the one that led the strategic review, whatever it was called. Like I think he'll know the squad. I think he'll know the sort of the components and the makeup of the players and so on. But also, Amorim's going to see it on the training ground. Like we always talk about like Pogba's character and stuff like that. Like we know Pogba's character, but essentially from what he did on the football pitch and what he did in the dressing room, which appeared to be a lot of dancing and so on. Like when you get the players in there, there'll be guys that will be committed and will buy in straight away, and then there'll be people that won't. And Casemiro and Eriksen, for example, are two that probably aren't long-term prospects for the club, and they might not like the amount of running they've got to do, or they might not like their role where like Eriksen's not allowed to get the ball forward as quickly or whatever based on the principles. They think it might not be for them, but it's kind of like as much as like the players have got to have discipline and so on, it's also the manager's job to get them involved and get them to buy in. And when we talk about players downing tools, it's mainly because they've lost faith in the game model and their manager's ability.
And this is the situation. This is what I think the situation with Ten Hag was. The first year, we could probably say we over what's the word? We overachieved. Maybe the second season and third season was where we were, and the players just thought, Jesus, can't cope with this anymore.
Like, look, I think in the second season, we know that one of the key things was being the best transition side in the world. That was like his stated aim. And I think it was about spaces, it was about running and things like that. He was asking them to do things they couldn't do. And even towards the end of his tenure, he threw a couple of players under the bus when he went, the tactics were perfect. But what did he say? They weren't following the principles. And so he put the blame on the pressure. And I think that this was always Ten Hag's big thing, is that he just thought that players should be able to do the principles without question. And he never.
Which was weird because he was a player. If it was Jose, I could maybe understand more because Jose didn't play. But the fact that Ten Hag was an actual player, you should know. I mean, there's distances that you just can't cover. You can't do, 5 70-meter shuttles, one after the other. Rashford, run up, track him back, run up, track him back, run up. I just called Rashford's name.
But he can't do long distance running.
Right.
You're right.
It's impossible for a player to do that. So the unbendable one wasn't he?
Yeah, and that's why he spent 600 million by like sort of he was a weird combination of a checkbook manager and a laptop manager where only certain players could play his system. And we always people, not us, but people would always say, the players, they're too stupid to understand the system and things like that. I think that they physically weren't able to understand the system. And then Ten Hag made the huge mistake of doubling the training, the physical endurance part of it, which I think that's essentially what probably lost him the dressing room as much as like what was going out on the football pitch. And I'm not excusing the players because a lot of them were absolutely dreadful. Yes, yeah.
But if something's not working, you have to keep practicing it, don't you? So if you're going to do double training drills, it's because the intention is to make them get it. If this is talk about Ten Hag, so if he's frustrated, they're not picking it up. He's missing the point. It's about the way he's supposed to get the message over, rather than just get them in to do more training, which is no one really.
Well, the point is it's physical requirements that they weren't able to do.
But Mr. B made a point about Rashford doing 70-meter runs in a row. If we kept the ball better and if things worked out and everything clicked, like as a whole unit, I think he wouldn't have to do that all the time. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, but he was a vertical manager.
If you look at Man City, who've been a successful side, they know what they're having to do because they keep the ball really well. They're always in control. and it's very rare that they're being hit or frustrated or losing the ball. Very rare you see that. It's only in recent weeks when one key player's been out the side, they're struggling to adapt to that until the window comes in to get someone to secure them up again.
It's because they've lost. It's because they've lost one of their big principles, which is tactical fouling. Like that is. I think that's almost the prime directive of when you lose the ball at City.
Yeah,
the nearest player makes the foul.
Yeah,
unless it's on the yellow. Yeah, and and also when you look at City, is Kevin De Bruyne 33?
Yeah.
And Bernardo Silva he's about 30, isn't he? Gundogan 32.
Yeah, Gundogan. Yeah, because Gundogan actually had a year at Barca and came back, didn't he? And he's come back a shadow.
Well, yeah, but like Pep's model, his game model is that he doesn't want a game of transitions, unlike, for example, Jurgen Klopp. Yeah. So I think one of the mistakes that Ten Hag made is that our players, I go on about it all the time, they're rubbish at second balls, they're rubbish at duels, they're rubbish at recovering space. And the way you get around that is you play safer and you play more horizontal. Like Mr. B, you always talked about the McFuckeries passing McSideways. He's off. But one of the reasons about that is that we weren't good at defending transitions with that team. So Ollie didn't go vertical as much as Ten Hag did. Ten Hag was always get the ball forward, clear as many lines as possible, and then we'll counter press and we'll try and win. And it worked. First 15 minutes of so many games, we looked great. We're winning the ball high up the pitch. And then the energy just went out of the tank because the players weren't physical. They didn't have the physical floor to do it. And I think that was the issue, is that Ten Hag never strayed from his principles. Whereas someone like Pep, he adjusts them all the time.
That's what makes good managers, I suppose, isn't it? Adapting your principles. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what Ten Hag gonna do. I still worry about these players. I'll be honest. I worry about these players and being able to cope with what they want. We're here thinking we're 4 points off top four. We've now got that hope that we didn't have under Eric, and these are going to make the losses that we suffer now hurt more.
Maybe. I mean, I'll tell you what I'm all right with is that if there are silly errors that we do that cost us matches because the players aren't completely attuned to the system yet, like a back pass or something like that, I'm okay with those kind of individual mistakes at the start of his tenure. But the most important thing about being part of a team is the understanding that you sacrifice yourself for the collective. And that's what we've got to see on day one, because there's not enough channel runners in our team. There's not enough people that are just running to make.
We don't have unselfish players. The only unselfish player we had was your boy.
Yeah.
Scott totally they're calling him over there. But I'm glad he's gone. I'm glad he's gone.
But he's a great example of a player that was a great trainer and followed the principles and sacrificed himself for the team. And we need more people like that in the squad. Like Johnny Evans was brought in, I think, to be a trainer. Do you know what I mean? To show the standards that you need in training and so on.
And he's started playing.
Yeah, and he's got himself in the team. And he's been our best centre-back for about 18 months now. And this is the thing, is that what I need to see from the players is I need to see them performing as a collective. Like, so Bruno, if Casemiro is wandering off into half spaces and having adventures, Bruno's got to cover. Like Garnacho's got to get inside a little bit if Dalot is going on the outside. They've got to start playing for each other instead of themselves. And all the other stuff, like someone being a bit out of position or two players not quite understanding the new principles, I'm fine with that, because that's what happens when you get a new system in. Like, what, did Pep finish 5th or 6th in his first season? Like stuff like that's fine, but it's collective Monday.
Yeah, certainly. There are a few comments. Stephanie's saying here, poor corner taking and free kick taking need to mix up, so improvement in those areas. Mr. B, Post has asked twice now, name the list of players that you want gone. We'll come back to that. Just start thinking about it now. Stephanie's saying here, repeating the same mistakes is stupidity. I said repeating the same mistakes here. There we go. By Stephanie. Stephanie's all over this. Once upon a time, being selected for the first team was a huge incentive. Only one substitute. Nowadays, well, it's a bare minimum, isn't it? Chat Sport, how you doing? I'll take a trophy in his first 2 seasons. That's the current standard where we're at. We've got Kieran saying here, hi, Kieran, how you doing? Amorim will get it right. We'll get ready for a bumpy road, though, because I see us in a better position within 3 years. And once again, you've been asked twice. So take that. Can you tackle this one, Mr. B? Your list of players that need to go. Is
this on age? Is this the ones who I expect to go? The ones I want to go. Yeah. I'll be honest. Rashford's breaking me in it. Every time he scores, I'm over the moon like a proud dad. But every time he stinks, I just want him gone. So I think Rashford's twisted my brain. Do you know what? I don't really want. The Shaws are obvious because they don't play enough, and I think he disrespected us playing for England.
Yeah,
I don't really have players. Højlund, I don't think's good enough. Not saying I think he should be sold, but I don't think he's got the minerals. Xerxes, I like technical players, and I believe that there's something in there. I can't believe he's gone all this way as a professional footballer and he doesn't have any pride in what he's doing.
Yeah.
So I want Xerxes to stay. So it's Højlund, Rashford,
Anthony, surely.
Oh God, yeah. I mean Anthony, yeah, Anthony.
Maguire.
No, I don't want. If Maguire, I don't want Maguire to be sold.
Yeah, but leaning forward.
I don't want him to be sold. No, if his contract expires and they don't give him a new one, it's not a problem to me.
Yeah.
But
Linders?
Him as a player, I just feel that he's shown so much heart and personal pride in himself. Let his contract run out and then leave. You know, he doesn't have to be sold. Lindelof, yeah, get rid of Lindelof. I don't think he serves any purpose. Although he must have been blowing off rude to be getting so much games. I don't think he offers anything future-wise, so he can go as well.
But you know this? Like Lindelof and Amorim would.
Yeah, they played. Yeah. I know. And that's the part that I'm wondering if he had a word to try and, keep him playing. I mean, he had him playing as a CDM in one of the games he came on as. But guess what? That's him doing Amorim a favour now. I think he's going to help him anyway because he's lost his job. So I would take him out as well. And I don't really have players in the team that I hate. I want to see Mount. As much as Mount pisses me off, I want to see Mount do something for us. I can't believe they've spent 60 million on this guy.
Yeah.
And he's never, ever going to produce for us. We're going to sell him before he's done anything. So I want to see Mount play.
Right, but who are the players you think won't buy in that could have the bad attitudes and so on then?
Marcus?
Yeah,
I do. I think he thinks he's the king of Manchester.
I'm expecting a lot from Rashford with Amorim coming in. I'm expecting a reborn of Rashford.
Well, depends what position they play him in. If they play him up top and he's got the opportunity to just run at man, if he's top of the tree and Amorim can get him like Gyökeres, there's no problem. He's a better player than him. He's a faster player than him. Rashford's got everything we need as a footballer, but there's something going on. And he's playing 60 minutes.
This is why I think that we're going to be having a conversation in January about is Rashford is he playing for a move or a contract or something? Because
it can't be
Ten Hag killed him, didn't he? Towards the end, there was definitely a fallout between them after what went on in Belfast and stuff. But do you blame?
Sorry, do you blame? You can't. No. If that's why they fell out, then I say that's why they fell out.
No, I think it was a combination of things. I think that Rashford, when he was scoring goals, he was getting 2 or 3 chances a game, and he was getting one. He was getting one in. He had a good season. and it was fine. Like, you know, it was fine. He was willing to put up with all the nonsense. And then when his form went down a little bit, and you know, like we always talk about like Højlund not getting service and stuff. Rashford doesn't get like any tap-ins the way he used to with Martial. Like Rashford has been asked to shoot from 30 yards out in wide positions, doing a huge amount of running.
Being
and so on.
asked again, is this being asked? So this is then a Ten Hag situation.
Yeah. Like, and Rashford, you know, lost his place in the England team and so on. Like, I'm not excusing Rashford. I think he's been a bloody bollocks for a very long time.
You know, bloody bollocks.
Yeah, he was coming out talking about how he had to take a couple of buses. We've all taken buses. Shut up. But I think that there's a possibility that players that we might have written off really come out under a new manager, new broom, like new ideas, and we might see more from them. In the same way, that's exactly what's happened to Casemiro since Ruud has come in, and to be honest, to a lot of the players since Ruud has come in, they've been freed from all of these sub principles and so on. You know, like they're able to express themselves more. They're able to solve problems on the pitch. They're not chained by all these instructions, which is what I think happened with Ten Hag. Is that he didn't want footballers, he wanted robots.
Oh, well, he's gone now.
All right. We'll finish it off, Yabba, with a quick quiz. What are the 4 main stages of the game?
With the ball, without the ball, transitions defending, transition attacking.
Yes.
Don't ask me shit, bro.
What day is it?
I can get that one.
Yeah. Go on, Yabba. What are you going to say?
Is it Monday?
Yes, it is Monday, but before I asked you a question, you had something to say.
No, I didn't. No. I had nothing to say.
Okay. All right, with no comment.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I did have something to say. I was going to...
Brilliant.
Before you said that, we're going to have the quiz, I was just about to say, I really thoroughly enjoyed this, and I think we can go back in a few months' time and refer to this show and see about the principles. And because I think it's very true. You're not going to put something out there that's untrue. This is all facts. This is all sourced from good places. And about Amorim and the formula that they have in Portugal, you set this up really well. And I've learned a lot today about how football management's run at the high end. You know, it's really. It seems simple, but actually put it over towards the players.
Are you going to take it to Woodlands?
I'm going to try.
What are you going to try and do?
Just make things simple. 4 principles, once again. That'll make things easier, because sometimes, like we had a big argument the other day, not an argument, but disagreement, but so many people talking. So I said, let me just remove myself and keep it simple. Rather than take it to stage 10, let's start at level 1 and just do the basics right. When we do the basics right, things happen. So I just stick with that. I'm not trying to be advanced with pressing or all this kind of thing. Let me just do the basics about my shape, what I want you to do. So like you said, when you haven't got the ball, what you need to do. These 4 principles work again. There's something I could use to say to them, look, just keep it basic. When we haven't got the ball, I want you here. It's like very good. What I've managed to implement on the side is to keep us compact, just repeat it over and over again. So when I'm watching it from in goal lately, I'm seeing us make the pitch small, and even though there's someone wide sitting and hugging the touchline, one of their attackers, we leave them alone. And we get over there when it's so it really helps us out, and we turn over the ball that way. So these principles, what you're saying there, for me, it's really going to help me keep things simple and get things over better. And that's where I've had results. Not trying to be technical too much like Ten Hag, but just keeping it simple, keep our shape, and telling them exactly what I need with our shape, and repeating that on the pitch over and over again until they get it. So I think this show's been really, really good. Something I can refer to. So I think in a few months' time, we're going to be going back and referring to that show on the 11th of November to say, do you remember the time we talked about what the principles are? And we're seeing them now. Hopefully in January, February, we'll be talking about this show and saying, yeah, do you remember when Bath Time dropped this show? And we said, this is what we expect to see, and we're seeing it on the pitch. And this is what we want to see delivered at Man United Football Club. I just think we've got some very good players at the club. It's just something to tweak it. It's good management. For some reason, players don't take it on board, whatever it is, you have to have the special formula, something special about you to get that message over. And I think when you've got a good manager to do that, with the good base of players that we have, it won't be long before we performing. You look at Newcastle United, you look at Aston Villa last season, you look at Leicester in 2015. If you've got something, motivated players who want to work their asses off and get results and do things right for the club, whatever strategy you have, then you're onto something. This just shows you. Ranieri came into Leicester, turning around, they were firing on fire, they got things done. Newcastle got into the Champions League. Aston Villa got into the Champions League. You see what I'm saying? So it's about tweaking things, and our players will look 10 times better under a new manager that can get them motivated and get them on side and get them in incorporating the system which is required from the manager. So I thought the show was fantastic, honestly.
Oh, thank you very much. Mr. B, have you got anything you're going to be taking to your football club?
The principles part of it, I'm not sure about, to be fair. It's just little bits. It's individual bits, maybe more. But my thing is, my system doesn't really change. The formation hasn't changed. It's just the players in the formation.
That's the game model. That's why managers don't have a plan B anymore.
Yeah, I don't. I'll be honest. My plan B is changing the individual players in the formation. So I've got a lot of players. You've got a player who, you play him on the wing. He's going to run forward. And there's games where I don't need that. I need a passer. So I try and solve puzzles with the subs that I have. If you see what I mean. So the game model, the system is there, but I always try to give them not so much from the back, to be fair, but further forward, I allow them to play, and I refuse to have anything apart from playing out from the back. And it's worked throughout the season because at our level we don't have players, we don't have our teams don't press. Yeah, and I won't let my team press because
play the block.
I'd rather play the block. They get too tired. Yeah. You get one running off that way, and then they pass the ball through and they're on the halfway line. No, let them work for it. Let their centre back keep it because they're always the big wankers who think,
they're just going to launch it. They're just that bloke out on the wing.
Thank you.
They never make it. Yeah,
right. It's never going to get there. And if it does go over, my defenders are faster than most forwards in our league, so I don't have that problem. So I try to keep. What did you say? The game model? So my game model,
that's your system.
My game model stays the same. It doesn't change.
Stop saying that.
No, because you know what? You see, come Saturday now, when I start talking to them about game and they're looking at me, I say, it's the system. Shut up. Don't you know nothing about? I start educating them. No, listen, these words.
It makes you say game.
I am saying game model.
Say it again.
Right. Game model.
Look, shit.
Stop doing it. I've told you that I had an injury last year that has affected my speech, my ability to speak. So I'm beginning to get paranoid that when I was talking about game theory today, I was just up there going gay theory, and everyone was just going, yeah, this is what he's like. Don't worry about it. But I think Mr. B, the best things that you can get into these players, because you don't have time to work with them and stuff, is just give them little rules for what they do in certain situations. The best one is when we lose the ball, it's got to go out wide, you've got to delay them, and then the defence have got to organise.
What was the little Nintendo handheld?
Game Boy. Good one. Nice. I like it.
I just want to shout out because there's some serious comments coming in. Chat Sport, how you doing? 4-4-2 is still a solid formation, but too many number 10s playing as wingers now. Where are all the true wingers gone? Just going back, I just wanted to drop something else quickly that was said. This is from POTUS. He's saying, a team that's majorly impressed him without possession has been Brighton because they dropped back into a 4-4-2.
But everybody does.
Yeah.
If you look at it, Mr. POTUS, that is what
That's
everybody does. Yeah, that is what they do. I mean, even at our level, we talk about trying to get back into a 4-4-2 block. You know, so it's not just everybody. If you look at
Maybe
it now,
they do it quicker or something. Like,
could be.
I mean, Brentford are by far the best. Brentford, City, and Arsenal are the best at getting into blocks. It's incredible to see how well drilled they are, and that comes from tactical periodization.
Right on cue. Right on cue. Talk about Brighton. Right on cue. Right.
All right.
It's 1:45.
It's like lunchtime.
Last one, Stephanie Griffiths is saying, good show, everyone. Well presented bath time, despite. And quickly, Dale Griffiths, how you doing, Dale? One thing that still worries me for Amorim is where the goal is going to come from. Haaland's actually don't look great. Rashford again off the boil. Bruno is incontinent. He's inconsistent, he's saying there, I'm sure. And some really good comments, guys, for a good show. Check it out, man. That was great. What's coming on later in the week, especially Wednesday?
Oh, we got Dora's show. Dora. So for everyone watching, Dora has been hard at work. Like the chickens have been put in the coop. She's been isolated on Snake Island, and she's prepared a special show for us on Wednesday that we're really, really excited for. It's going to be interesting seeing Dora at the wheel. But long may it continue. And then have we got any special guests?
She doesn't drive like my mum.
Okay. Have we got any special guests coming on, Mr. B?
Am I supposed to say yes to that?
I don't know. I thought you were going to ask some people. Have we got anyone coming on?
Oh, fuck me, yeah. Jeff, innit? I know we're supposed to be getting Jeff on one of the days this week.
Jay,
oh shit! I haven't even done that bloody message. I haven't even sent that message out yet. To be fair,
you told me Jeff, last night that you were going to text him the second the show ended.
I told you. Well, I keep telling you. Well, time. Why do you think I remember anything that I don't write down? Why do you? Listen, mate. You should know me by now.
I know.
If it's not done when I like there, then forget it. Anytime you just say, did you write it down or did you put the note in your phone? And then at least
today,
it's done.
If you were asleep, like that's the level.
It's like a notch time.
Yeah.
It's like a
All
notch.
Right. Let's say like a notch.
Like a notch.
Like a notch, guys.
Like a notch.